Oh, it's. Want to sound smarter? Try saying nothing. This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller, Bueller, Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Reformat a little bit. Welcome to the focus group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Tim Bennett. Find us. Plaid today. Very nice. Find us at focusgroupradio.com. That's the URL for all our show's information about me, Tim, and of course, this broadcast. And we'd like to introduce you to the Tuesday podcast called Unbuttoned. We usually tackle 3 topics, about 20 minutes long. Put that on your list, and I think that it was told to me that that's a commutable show or for a workout. It was a Stairmaster or a car drive.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. You're in and out there. So, welcome to the new week.
Thank you, Mr. Nash. It's October.
Yes, it is. And we've just had a busy earlier week. So earlier, last week, I was at Yale New Haven Hospital. I visited my mom on Wednesday. She had successful heart valve replacement surgery the day before. And by the way, Tim had told me that Yale New Haven is this it's a beautiful hospital. And I've been in a couple.
Yeah, my dad was there in May and for his thyroid, and I couldn't get over how well run and how clean it was.
And beautiful. And it was a delight to visit her, spend the whole day with her. And we just got back from one of our clients. We were out west visiting a client where I saw Tim do karaoke for the first time. And you did quite a job.
Listen. Why didn't you do it?
Oh.
You have to understand something. I learned this with the Japanese. When there's things like that, you got to play the games. You got to do the games. They had that machine set up there for you to play.
Well, you did this.
You did it. I had to, if I didn't do it, none of us would have done it, and then we would have been in trouble.
We would not have been in trouble.
Why don't you go up and sing? I want you to do a whole duet thing of Grease, a Grease medley.
I could not think of anything to
sing. You can read them. You read the songs.
Until after we left, and if we're back, I'm going to do a duet with Carrie, I think, and I've nailed the song. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's from a musical, and I thought, well, no, those are perfectly great songs. In fact, she came up with it. She goes, "We need a song that you could talk through," and I was like, "There you go," and I figured it out.
A talk-through song in a musical.
Well, no, you sing, but musicals are like
what musical is it?
Anything goes.
Oh, I know what it is.
In olden days, a glimpse.
Is that what it is? Did you pick something gayer? I did White Wedding with Michael. I thought we brought down the house. Now there was nobody there at the time.
No, we were laughing. I was standing with.
I can't sing.
You actually sounded okay, but
I can't sing.
But I want to let everybody know that prior to the getting up to the karaoke stand, we were told emphatically that nothing's happening, I'm not experiencing something, and then suddenly you're belting out tunes and dancing up on stage.
Because I learned when I worked with the Japanese, when there's a karaoke machine, everybody is expected to do at least one song. And we had cycled through everybody doing a song, and they were waiting for us. And I forget what song. I did Harper Valley, and then I ended up doing too many. Yeah. I did Harper Valley PTA.
That broke the ice, Harper Valley PTA.
I did Fernando with the polo player. I had part of it in Spanish.
Yeah, you did.
I did
White Wedding.
Grease Medley.
But and that
White Wedding.
medley was no. Because they mixed the songs in a weird way. Yeah, it wasn't the best of karaoke medleys, let's put it that way. But you did a great job. But at one point, one of our clients looked straight at me and she says, "You don't want to do this and you're not going to do it." And I said, "I don't feel like doing it now." And she goes, "I'm just going to stop bothering you." And she laughed. And then we all laughed. And she's like, "I'm going to stop bothering you about it." And we were free. And then David says to me, "Free."
You didn't do it either.
No.
You're the only two.
3.
The host doesn't have to do it.
But
You, I was mad at you. You didn't do it.
you weren't that mad.
I think you should have done it. We should have gone up and sung it. We should have gone and we should have sang a song together.
Now that we know that that's part of their corporate DNA, we'll come equipped, and that's like, because at one point one of David was standing next to me and he goes, I said, "I'm blanking on every song I would like to sing." He goes, yeah, because they're all in there, don't worry. I said, "They're all in there." He goes, "Yeah, they're all in there." So
There's not a song that you like that you.
I love tons of
Top of
songs.
your head?
I thought of Steely Dan. I thought
Yeah, you could have done Steely Dan, Steve Miller Band, something.
Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't want to call nobody else.
See, they've been fine.
And I could actually sing. You might use it when...
You think you have a good voice?
I used to be in chorus. Of course I have a good voice. My children know nothing of store-bought goods.
Singer is not something I'd put after your name.
On the resume.
Singer? Now you're a singer.
Entertainer.
Animator, singer, cyclist.
I prefer...
Let me write that down.
I prefer... Oh, no.
Better update your LinkedIn profile.
Let me up the singer.
Animator,
I prefer an entertainer term.
raconteur.
Raconteur, storyteller.
And we're going to add singer. I was in chorus.
I made All-State chorus, too.
Sounds like, what's her name on the I Love Lucy? I was senior shenanigans at the Rappahannock School for Girls. I had no idea you had so much talent.
Senior shenanigans.
I was mistress of ceremony, culminating my high school career as mistress of ceremonies at the Rappahannock School for Girls.
You do bring up a great point, though, about that kind of thing. When I hate when they roll that stuff out, with participation stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, earlier, by the way,
I hate that at weddings too. By the way, I hate the stupid throw the thing, catch a thing. I disappear. I go to the bathroom.
The garter, the whole bit, all that stuff. However, there were 4 kids at this barbecue that they had, 2 little girls, beautiful little girls, and 2 guys. And they were I hung out with the kids for quite a while. And in fact, both their parents like, "Well, you're really great with kids. You should have," I'm like, "No, I'm good with kids at this age. I don't want," I mean, because they're kids. They were collecting, they had a piñata.
Which was great. I've never seen such good piñatas. That candy in there was unbelievable. I was shocked because usually the piñatas you buy somewhere, it's junk.
Yeah, but
this was all grade
real,
A candy, real stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, and I found out from one of the fathers, from Reed actually, that the next day he and his wife had to kind of because remember the girls had these cowboy hats, they were filled with candy. So I think what they did is when the girls were sleeping, they might have kind of drained some of the candy off, and then he took it into the office and distributed it at the ranch. Because you don't want, they were bouncing off. Those kids were bouncing off. They had a great time, but they were bouncing off the walls.
Well, when they had all that candy, I heard him suggest maybe we'll skip Halloween this year.
Kids were not going to have any of that.
Nothing doing.
You know what I love though? One of the boys there, I forget how old he was. I said, let's decide who's stronger today. What I love about kids, without even hesitation, he knew. I'm stronger. I'm gonna beat you. I'm stronger. So we played the game where you hold your arm up and you have to push it down. And he's practically standing on my arm to get it down, but he eventually gets it down because full weight leverage, and he starts, "I'm stronger than that guy over there. I'm stronger than him." And you have to just laugh.
Did you do it with him, or were you like Mommy Dearest? Lost again. Who wants to play strong arm?
I will always be faster, bigger, and stronger.
Oh, you lost again. Who wants to go swimming? I do. I'll race you across the pool.
So what Tim just did, by the way, with pulling up a movie reference to something, I think our whole lives could be like that. So the other night, Bob took me out to dinner for my birthday, and we went to this little restaurant near our apartment, which we rarely go to. But on the way back, I said to him, I like that shirt you're wearing. And he goes, oh, everybody at the office loved it. And he starts crowing about this Calvin Klein shirt that he bought for $5 on the company website, because his company has Calvin Klein. And he said, I even wore it, and as someone named Jerry was like, is that a, and Bob's like, Calvin Klein. So I immediately called up in my head the scene from The Devil Wears Prada, where Anne Hathaway comes in. She's finally clicked. She's going to start dressing like everybody. She's going to look like a beautiful model. She comes in this thing with these big... And Emily Blunt goes, are those, and then Anne Hathaway goes, the Chanel boots? Yes. So I just looked at Bob and I said, are those the Chanel boots? Yes. And he immediately knew the movie, busts out laughing. And I said, honey, that behavior, tell me oh yeah, you're right. Ha ha ha.
Are things creeping in like the tablecloths and napkins used to do now? Is clothing creeping in?
Well, he's up at 98 shirts. Yeah, it's creeping in. Did I tell you about?
Bought 98 shirts?
He hasn't bought them, but he owns them. So one day,
wow, I thought I had a lot.
In our new apartment, the bedroom has these 3 double-door closets in a row, and the left and the right ones have been divided into hanging stuff and shelves. So it's for your stuff, right? And the middle is for like a bureau. You open mine up, and I'm struggling. I bought 2 new pairs of shoes, and now I'm kicking myself because I can't figure out which 2 older pairs have to leave. Because in my world, if something comes in, one or 2 has to leave.
Take them to the other place.
No, they have to go. They have to go. So Bob opens his closet, and I said, let's just try something. Let's count how many shirts you have. I hit 98, and that's not including the polos that are folded on a shelf. That was 98 hanging shirts on short sleeve, long sleeve. And I said, are you ever going to wear some of these again? It doesn't matter. And so, yes.
Got it for $5.
That's exactly what happens now. So he gets this amazing employee discount, which, by the way, if you contact him for any of this stuff, because he'll go on when it's on sale for 40% off, and then he gets another like 30 or 40% off. Wow. I got 2 pairs of shorts and a bunch of stuff for maybe $36 from... It was all Tommy Hilfiger stuff. So, yeah, no more dish towels.
But now you're onto shorts and T-shirts and polo shirts. And
shoes, hats, gloves, shoes.
Too.
Darling, you could have just said, you could never have too many accessories.
What kind of shoes they have?
Any shoe that's made by Calvin Klein or Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. I didn't know they did shoes anymore.
Sometimes he sneaks stuff in, too.
Well, he does.
So there'll be, came up from the lobby one time, and my doorman said, I had a package for you. Because I went out to the grocery store. I came back. He said, I had a package for you, but Bob took it up. I go upstairs, and I thought the package was for me, so I open the door, and there's a counter. Our kitchen's counter is like right near the front door. And there were 2 letters for me, a bill and something else. And I was like, I wonder where the package... But I didn't say anything. 2-3 days go by, and suddenly Bob comes out in a new shirt. And I'm like, was that the package from 2 days ago? And he just kind of smiles and, well, it could have been. I'm like, oh, now the clothing's coming in under dark of night or cover of night. That's what's happening. I'm not being told about these things because, I have an opinion about this. I think 98's a bit high. I think you could get by with 23 shirts. Or how about 10?
How about you don't care? Like, why do you care? You're something else.
Tim, what? Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember the incident clearly now. We had just got our new cars. You're driving a Tiguan, and I'm driving an all-track wagon. And I was griping about something. We were at a photo shoot. We were photographing product. And this is what I love about Tim. Tim always kind of like takes me down to earth or pops the bubble or drains the wound, whatever you want to call it. But I'm up in arms about thinking that I was overpaying for something. By the way, I ended up not. It was all okay. But you're hearing me go on and on and on about I didn't this and this.
This was the 3rd day of it.
Yeah, this is the 3rd. I didn't know it was 3 days.
Yeah. Start on the phone. Then it goes an email. Then it shows its head when you're in person.
At the photo shoot. So you don't say a word. We're walking out to our cars, and I start again, and you just raise your hand, and you said, it's done. It's over. It's in the past. It's over.
Alone.
Move on. But
like, okay.
But that was actually the slap in the face I needed, like the bucket of cold water, because I thought, it's in the past. It's over.
Nothing you can do about it. It's done.
It's everybody,
buys a shirt, so what?
everybody needs a Tim Bennett in your life.
No, just, sometimes I've learned, I used to get all up in arms about things. I'm probably almost way to the other side now. I just don't, like, whatever, who cares?
But you're right. You're right. I got in the car and all the way home before I went to that Costco in Edison, New Jersey, which had really interesting stuff that I can't get at my Costco in Yonkers. All the way home, all the way to Edison, I kept thinking, why can't I be like I'm like a dog with a toy or something that just won't once it starts going. But the minute you said it's over, it's done. It's the past.
Not good for your health to be so worrisome. You have trouble sleeping because of that. Sometimes you don't shut down. Right? You got to shut down. Maybe you should meditate. I know you don't believe in it because you don't start it. If you don't start something, you won't do it.
You have a great point. The days that I go cycling or that I have had a workout or that I do yoga, I can sleep okay because that's my form of meditation. And somehow, somehow that breaks me out.
Which is fine, yeah. So we'll go for a bike ride today.
All right. So on that score, what caught your eye today?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Well, of course, our friends in San Francisco are at it again. America's most overrated city. Billy contacting me. I'm sure he'll let me know. Although he did like our business birthday with Mark Bennett off.
That was a good one. I like that one.
From San Francisco. Yeah. But actually, no, this is actually a serious thing, and it's actually a bigger issue that I think we talk about San Francisco, but they do have a huge homeless problem.
Big, yeah.
Partially because the weather's great. Mm-hmm. It's a nice city. And so if you're going to be homeless, why not? Right? Pick San Francisco.
Or LA, but I think San Francisco is probably nicer.
But so it's gotten out of control, which we talk about and do make fun of it at times. But actually it is a huge issue because there is a huge disparity between what people can afford or where people can live. Even just having service people to be able to have a living wage that can work in the city. And so the headline here was San Francisco residents buy boulders, place them on sidewalks to thwart the homeless tents. So the residents of a San Francisco side street are so fed up with all the tents that are pitched on their sidewalk by the homeless people that they've trucked in tons of boulders to discourage the camping. So this is about 24 of these massive rocks weighing hundreds of pounds each created a half-a-block stretch between Clinton Park and a side street off Market and Dolores Streets.
So this is like downtown San Francisco, right, near where we stayed that one time by that Mark Twain Hotel, right?
Right. So it created a barrier for half a block stretch of Clinton Park, which is a side street off Market and Dolores. The boulders don't block the sidewalk, but they do limit a space available for tents. So other neighbors were up in arms about the whole thing. So a lot of people are in San Francisco, taking enforcement into their own hands because they can't move the homeless along. And the reason they did this on this street, they said, is because it was a place where a lot of people would shoot up. Mm. And so, they're in these houses and they got kids and whatever, there's needles and all this stuff. They said it's an area frequented by drug users who shoot up and then end up staying overnight. Jennifer Friedenbach on the Coalition for the Homeless says this is an example of anti-homeless architecture. She said, we have 1,200 people on a waiting list for shelters tonight alone. These people have nowhere to go.
1,200.
Just for that night, she said.
That's an enormous number. Oh, my God.
The city said that they will not remove the boulders because they don't block the sidewalk. So the city has decided they're going to keep the boulders there. In fact, the city put its own boulders up under an area they called the Hairball.
Only in San Fran. The Hairball. What's the Hairball?
City positioned boulders under Highway 101 near Cesar Chavez Street in an encampment called the Hairball. The idea there was to prevent encampments and reestablishment of homeless villages after it had been cleared out. The homeless people, though, said it doesn't matter. They're still going to find places to sleep. And if they think the boulders are going to keep them away, that's not going to happen. One church, the St. Mary's Cathedral, had installed sprinklers in the doorway. So when the homeless would fall asleep, they'd get sprayed on. The sprinklers were removed after public furor.
So this is interesting because yesterday in my drive back to the city, I was upstate meeting with a contractor in the morning. That woman you mentioned, Jennifer
Friedenbach,
she was on NPR. And this was a topic for a 40-minute fresh air segment. And
about the boulders?
Well, they now call it hostile architecture. boulders, or they'll take a park bench and they'll put a bar in the middle so you can't sleep
They did
on
all
it.
over. And actually, they did say they removed lots of park benches from parks in the city so that
You can't sleep
you
on
no
them.
longer sit. Yeah, you have
She
to.
even went further to say that now some new buildings that they build, they put spikes along the edge of the wall,
so you can't sit.
You can't move up against it, and it was interesting to hear her talk about it because San Franciscans are generally speaking, like you said, they're so frustrated with the problem that the residents are like, well, if you're not going to do something, I have to do something because this is my block. And she brought up that statistic about how many people are homeless. But then she said something interesting to me. She goes, you may think the homeless population is down and out individuals who are needing treatment or they need to be in a program.
They're mentally unstable, or
She said, but actually, there are a number of homeless individuals in San Francisco who are professionals. They can't afford, their kids are still in school. They might have lost a job. It's incomprehensible how expensive it is in downtown, in that whole area. You have to go, an hour and a half out of San Francisco to even get affordable housing these days?
I had a friend that moved there. The company in Mountain View actually gave him $700,000
relocate
toward a mortgage.
Toward a mortgage.
So that he could be within a half-hour commute rather than being 3 hours out.
So he ended up buying a home that he normally
could not
wouldn't.
afford.
Okay.
But the company subsidized. He was in the communications area. But, this is a bigger issue of because you can't simply say, well, why don't you move? Right. So if you said, if you move to a less expensive area, but this is what the guy, when we did the business birthday a few weeks ago, Mark Bennett, I think I'm saying it correctly. But what he was saying is that all these taxes that they collect off these tech companies, they should be doing something for the good
Of the town, of the city.
of the city, and do something with the community and try to alleviate this issue. I would be shocked. San Francisco is a beautiful city.
No doubt, yeah.
And when people visit, and the last time you and I were there, it's jaw-dropping. And if this is your first impression of the United States, if you say, God, we're going to fly in from China or Japan or Korea or India, whatever, and you fly in on the West Coast and you fly into San Francisco to tour the beautiful city, you would be shocked. And that's what I find really disturbing about the whole thing is that you and I had a client out there. Remember we went to dinner? And she had all her food bagged up and boxed up
Ready to give away. Ready to give away.
She came to visit us here in New York. She
Did
did
the
the same thing, and then she went out. We saw her in the morning. She said, I had no one to give my food to. She said, I had nobody to give. I couldn't find anybody to give my food to.
Between the restaurant and her hotel, which was probably a 9-block walk in Midtown, where you would think she was near Times Square and everything, you might run into it, she had no one to give the food to. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have a homeless problem.
Right.
We do. And in fact, the city, New York City, works really hard to shuffle this off to the side so you don't see it. I mean, in my old neighborhood, buses used to arrive at a synagogue up the block from me that acted as a shelter at night. Yeah. And people would get off with like sleeping bags and stuff. And sometimes you'd see these people getting off the bus that look completely like, what are you getting off the bus for? It's a big problem, but this is a new chapter, right? Hostile architecture.
Well, because if you had just bought a condo and you paid $1 million for a little 2-bedroom condo in San Francisco, and you had 2 little kids that want to go out on the sidewalk, and there's a bunch of needles there because the junkies were shooting up.
How do you explain it? And are you afraid? And yeah, that's what she said on NPR yesterday too. The homeless advocate Jennifer. She was like, a small percentage. She did qualify it. She said a small percentage of the homeless population is in fact dealing with drugs and substance abuse. She actually said you will find those individuals in this area, and it was near the hotel we stayed at, which was on the walk to Twitter. And exactly. And she said that's a very known problem, and no matter what they do, they sweep it up, they move people into treatment, always comes back. It's weird. But I'm sure if you're in municipal government, and a lot of our listeners in San Francisco probably would know this, it's just not that simple, right? Because no matter what you say, like, okay, let's move these people. Well, they're people. With a list of 1,200 for residency or shelter at night for one night, 1,200? That's a big number. I can't even wrap my head around 500, let alone 1,200.
But you're right. I live in Philadelphia, and there's another big city in America with the same issues, and they pushed them to the sides. And then there's a new mayor who is more compassionate, I guess, and they're creeping back into the center city, into the real business area, into the area where the tourists and all there's Independence Hall and all the historic areas, as well as all the nice restaurants. And then they become very aggressive panhandlers, and it really affects people. It even affects me. I don't want to go down the nice street with the restaurants and be bombarded and then feel bad about going into a restaurant to eat. And then when I come out being catcalled at as well. So I could see where it's an issue.
It's a huge issue, and it's complex, and I'll wrap it up, or before I do my call, I'll just say this. I was on the train the other day, and I was sitting next to a woman and her young kid that I think, the daughter, she had picked up at school. She had like a uniform on, and she had a knapsack, and she was looking to a book, like math book or something. And the train stops, doors open, and a guy comes in a wheelchair, but he had one leg was missing from the, I guess, mid-thigh down. And he has a cup in the other hand. He's rolling down the car, and he's shaking the cup. And he goes right by, and the girl is like mortified, the young girl. And she says, Mom, after he rolls by, she goes, can't we give? And the mother says this. She goes, he probably has a house in Florida. So, and
Was it Garrett?
A couple people said, yeah, we have Garrett, Steve, Robbie, Bobby, and Luby in the booth. Big booth today.
Big booth.
There you guys are. Garrett, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, that's urban legend here in New York that some of these panhandlers have, like, mansions.
Beautiful home.
and homes,
Home in the Hamptons.
The guy I pass every day from 34th to 35th Street, he has an iPhone and stuff, has a nice backpack. He's always shaved every day, a nice haircut. And he's like an older guy, and
He's asking for money?
yeah, and it says he's lost his construction job or something. He's been there for 2 years, and he's just preys on all the tourists coming in or whatever.
See,
yeah.
2 years. 2 years.
I confronted one on Amtrak because Amtrak now, unfortunately, in Penn Station, they allow people to get on the trains and start panhandling before the trains leave to go south. And there's one guy's on there every week talking about he's still trying to get to someplace in New Jersey. And after about the third week, I said, boy, you're taking a long time to collect that.
You could have walked.
Then he wanted to confront me.
Yeah, they hate when you repeat their
Right, when you
story
call them
back
out.
to them. When you know their story before they
Right.
say it, yeah.
Well, he had first one of them came up to me and asked me for a bus ticket, and then he forgot he asked me, and then he asked me for a train ticket. I said, do you need a train ticket or a bus ticket? Why are you asking me? I said, because first you asked me for a bus ticket. Now you're looking for the train. I said, if you really are that stuck, I said, if you go over there to Amtrak, they'll give you a ticket.
Yeah, they do. They do.
They will give you a ticket. So don't give me that nonsense. I need $11.20 for a train ticket.
There you go.
Now you got me tuned up.
All right. So caught my eye is a little bit different, and it's brief, but I think you and I can discuss some other stuff. This comes from Struthers, Ohio, and basically a local LGBTQ center is seeking donations to stay open. All the staff is volunteer.
Can you spell that? Struthers?
Struthers, Struthers.
I wonder where that is.
Struthers, Ohio.
I haven't
And you
heard-
would know because you went to
I
school out
I
there.
haven't heard of it. I was thinking it'd be Columbus or something.
They're going to be. They were given an eviction notice, and the center is located on Youngstown Poland Road. However, they were just served with an eviction notice. And the woman said, "We'd love to have a bigger donor who says, you know what, I've got this money laying around. This is important to the community. We just haven't found that person yet. The center needs at least, and get this." This is the amount they're trying to raise to save the center and not be evicted. $500. So
$500?
because everybody's volunteer, all the monies that come in are completely put towards paying for the space and providing education. So I brought this up with Tim because in many areas of the country, the LGBT Center is a haven for youth. It's a safe place to go to be yourself. It's a place to find information. But when I brought it up with Tim, you said to me, "Oh my God, yeah, we'll discuss it," because we had this conversation at Rehoboth, Camp Rehoboth, down at the beach. These centers are finding it really hard to raise money now because I guess a lot of them were founded around the time of HIV/AIDS.
Right. Philly has the issue, and we talked about it in Rehoboth. Rehoboth is still doing a good job raising money, though, fortunately,
Camp
because
Rehoboth
it's
is
wealthy,
great.
and it's a wealthier community, I suppose. Lots of D.C., Baltimore, Philly people that vacation there. But, the missions have changed from a lot of these
Drastically.
organizations. And so as a center, the issues have changed because kids are coming out younger, so there's a different programming they need to do. But in raising money, when a lot of these parties they used to have are fundraisers or art events or whatever around HIV and AIDS, with the advent of some of the new drugs,
Treatments, yeah.
they're not serving
Same community.
that community much anymore, and they're trying to find their way as to what their mission is. And if somebody could figure it out, it would be helpful.
I thought with this group here, the center in Struthers, they really focused on youth and trans youth as well. And a lot of the people they interviewed, the kids that went there, said it was the only place and the only time during the day where they could just be themselves. But you know what? And I don't mean, I'm going to get knocked for this, and I don't mean to. It's not a very sexy mission statement. For donors, when there's a medical imperative, it's breast cancer, life or death, or it's HIV/AIDS, this opens the pocketbook. But when it's a place of knowledge, learning, and acceptance, that doesn't seem to have the imperative. It's a different sell. It's a much harder sell, I think.
Would you have gone to, probably not, but I'll ask the question, would you have gone to a center as a kid?
So,
I don't know what a kid is, though.
Let's say I was 15 and I knew I was gay.
Right.
First, I'd have to figure out where the center was, and when you and I grew up, that was the phone book. Right. There was no internet, so you had to do the phone book.
You also didn't talk about it.
No, you did not talk about it. And yeah, I suppose I would have gone to one had it been available, but even as an adult, I was one of the people that would go to events for fundraising. I wasn't actually a client of the center. And I think that's also a little bit of a disconnect here, is I wonder if we're dealing with a socioeconomic component as well about who can utilize these services.
Right.
It would surprise none of our listeners that if I said, well, if you make a certain amount a year, you're surrounded by a certain kind of friends, or you're probably one of the people that donate to it, but even though you are gay, you might not be using their services. But if you're at a different level, this could be a lifeline.
Right. No, you're exactly right. And if you're, particularly with the trans youth, if you are really feeling alienated and there's no place you can go or anywhere to talk, that's
So that's so I guess I would just say in closing, look at your local center, see what they can do, and maybe you want to contribute to it. Because I do think until they find the right footing and tone, it is still a place for people to get information. It is still a welcoming.
Well, I wondered by that because I think it sounds like they're near Youngstown, Ohio, and I was wondering whether there was
the road like Youngstown, Poland Road, right?
Right, and so I'm wondering if there probably is a bigger organization maybe in Youngstown, because maybe this one it was just small or something. But hey, listen, if somebody wants to volunteer and put the organization together, then by all means. But donate to your local LGBT organizations, right, John?
Who's your business birthday today?
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
Marcus Uran.
How do you spell that?
Uran.
Uran.
Urann.
Yeah, I got it.
Marcus Libby Uran. Uran.
Born. Middle name should be the giveaway, right?
Born October 2nd, 1873. He died April 1st, 1963. Cranberry magnate. From 1930 to 1955. He was a lawyer and a farmer, a cranberry farmer. He developed a recipe for cranberry sauce that could be prepared in a very large batch and canned. So he organized the Ocean Spray Preserving Company and began to sell Ocean Spray cranberries in a can in 1912. Sales of the cranberry sauce greatly increased the market share for the fruit. So he had to merge some other main competitors and form the Cranberry Canners, Inc., which was now a cooperative, which is still in existence. And it includes growers in Oregon, Washington, and Wisconsin. He's in Massachusetts. Whereas in Massachusetts and Maine. The co-op was renamed the National Cranberry Association, NCA, in 1946. He retired in 55, and they ended up changing the name to Ocean Spray Cranberries for everything. And so Ocean Spray, as you know, is this, they have over 700 growers in Massachusetts, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Oregon, Florida, British Columbia, and other parts of Canada, as well as Chile. And they control, how much of the market do you think they control?
You know what? I doubt I'm wrong if I said 85 to 90% of it.
70%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is, you were right there. I was shocked to hear it was that much. It's a $1.2 billion industry. They control 70% of it. They were the first person or the first group to come up with fruit juice boxes. I didn't realize that. The very first to sell sweetened dried cranberries. You know it as the craisin.
Craisin. I remember. Yeah.
We're also the first to do a juice blend. So if you see some of this Ocean Spray raspberry or Ocean Spray cherry or something with a cranberry and the different juices.
Does his middle name have anything to do with Libby's, the company Libby's?
Not that I know of, no.
Because you know Libby's.
Yeah, and his wife was also involved, but so he was the founder of Ocean Spray. But what a niche or a niche for a business. For years, I used to ding them.
I was going to ask you about that.
Because we were doing a relationship with Subaru and the American Canoe Association, and they refused to be affiliated with Subaru because we directly spoke to the LGBT consumer.
I remember
they
that
did not want to be associated with Subaru because
I don't know
of that.
how you ever found a substitute for Ocean Spray. I mean,
I did for years, but I spent way too much time, and it wasn't easy to find because they did not have an EEOC statement on their website. But they did have a little section that was buried in there. They do have a number of women on their leadership board, which I think is helpful. And they had were bursting with pride. They were in the LGBT Pride Parade in Boston.
Okay.
And then they did have. I went to the HRC site to see if they had
rating,
a good score, which they did. They were knocked a little bit, as all new companies are not. All new, but as a lot of companies are with trans.
Well, they're trying to catch up. That, yeah.
So I can now say that I will drink Ocean Spray again.
The boycott's over. We can drink Ocean Spray.
I always held that against them, but I thought, you know what, I really want to look and see whether, because I did, I'll give them their due that they've changed.
Well, you had a very, you always maintained a fairly short list of companies. It was 3 or 4. That you were top. One, you still don't go.
I still won't go get Exxon gas.
Exactly. They haven't changed their policies, so
which is shocking to me. Shocking.
If you are a fan of the show, and I'm sure you are if you're watching live or listening right now, then you also know that Deep Discount is a major partner of ours here on the Focus Group, and we are thrilled to have them join us every week. Go to focusgroupradio.com and look for the shark. I'll do a pirate voice. Arr, Sharky the Shark, and that's actually the mascot's name, Sharky the Shark.
Sharky the Shark.
Yeah, and click on their logo and go to Deep Discount and begin your shopping extravaganza. They have most every piece of media you want, plus toys and books and games and everything. This week, they're having a sale for mystery, suspense, and film noir. So we begin by seeing what Tim chose here.
So I chose the movie Rear Window.
Alfred Hitchcock?
Yeah, only because I haven't seen it in a long time, and I don't have it either. And it's got Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly in it. And Jimmy Stewart's a photographer who breaks his leg while he's trying to shoot an auto race, and he's confined to his New York apartment. He spends his time looking out his rear window, observing this neighbor, and he's convinced that there was a murder, that the guy murdered his wife across the alley there.
Based on what he's seen.
Right.
So
he enlists the help of his high society fashion consultant girlfriend, Lisa Fremont, a.k.a. Grace Kelly.
Grace Kelly, that's right.
And the visiting nurse, Stella, to investigate. So you can get this for $8.48.
Stella was the wisecracker, right?
Yeah.
Who played? Did they
came out in 1954.
Did they tell you who played Stella?
I didn't look it up. It might have been Thelma Ritter.
I thought that could be, because she always had that kind of wisecracking role. It's a great movie, and I saw it recently on Turner Classic Movies, and I forgot that I just love Hitchcock and the way he shoots, the color, everything. It's great. So you're going to get Rear Window.
Rear Window.
I've recommended this movie before, and I will always recommend it if I see it in a sales section. And this, I guess it qualifies as mystery or suspense. So the movie is called Moon, just Moon, Moon. And it stars Sam Rockwell. In fact, it's basically just Sam Rockwell and the voice of Kevin Spacey as a computer. Sam Rockwell's a character named Sam Bell. You meet him living on the moon. He's getting ready to finish up a 2 or 3 year stint where he's been overseeing the robotic mining of, I think it's, I forget what it is. It was some kind of substitute for a nuclear fuel or something that would get shot to the earth for use in clean energy. And then he discovers that there's another version of him, and that leads to a whole discovery about why he's there, who he is, and the whole bit. But it's really well done, and I don't think you have to be a science fiction fan to like it, because as the movie goes on, you're like, what's going on here? So I recommend Moon. It's on 4K and Ultra HD.
When did it originally come out?
Hey, guy, could you zoom in, Steve, see when it came out? I want to say
2009.
It was
2000. There it is.
Thank you, Garrett.
It's only 98 minutes. I love a movie that's decent time.
And now we know that 87 to 90.
There's no reason for a movie to be 2.5 hours long.
Well,
no.
Okay, I'm not going to, And the release this week is a title that Tim and I talked about very briefly on Unbuttoned, our earlier in the week audio podcast. It's called Chernobyl, and it's HBO's 5-part miniseries that tells the true harrowing story of the nuclear accident that occurred in Chernobyl back in 1986. Now, you said something to me that made me think, like, you think you had watched something like this before, but then you saw the real one.
Well, so I have HBO, and I'd watched it on there, I think. But when I was on the plane, and this was just released, and I was watching it, I'm thinking, I don't think maybe I was watching the right thing. But this was pretty graphic.
There was another Chernobyl that, like either was a docuseries or something that came out around the time HBO released this, and I was
bored to death. I ended up falling asleep.
This one
This one, brought me right in, but I was. It's pretty. I thought for me because I'm a little baby.
When you tell me that you looked away,
yeah, I looked away.
It tells me everything I need to know.
And there was actually a warning.
Wow, one of the graphic warnings. Yeah.
So head over to focusgroupradio.com. Click on the deep discount logo. It's mystery, suspense, and film noir sale going on. And John had picked the movie Moon on 4K, and I picked the Rear Window, and the release this week is Chernobyl on Blu-ray. Right, Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do a shop talk, and it's about saying nothing to sound smarter.
You do it all the time.
Sound smarter.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. Focusgroupradio.com is the URL for our website. You'll find everything you need to know about us there. Before we go into Shop Talk, we have Billy on the line from beautiful upstate New York, enjoying a 90-degree day. Billy, welcome to the show.
90 degrees? Where? Not here.
Oh, well, down here, Billy, it's 89 or something. It's got to be warm up there.
Maybe 80-something. It's already cloudy and nasty.
So you had a comment about homeless.
Yes. Even in Beacon, we got a pretty good homeless crowd, especially on weekends when the tourists come to town that go to the DIA and go to Main Street. It's an economic engine.
The homeless?
Yeah, you cannot walk from Edwards. We'll walk to the store, or we'll go to Glazed Over, and we can be approached anywhere from 3 to maybe as many as 6 individuals panhandling.
In Beacon?
In Beacon, because it's a tourist destination now, because it's all been revitalized, and it's easy access from Metro North.
So, do these people actually live in the town then, or are they like legitimately homeless? That's
kind of the question. Are they just capitalizing on the income, or are they really homeless?
Yeah, Billy, that's what I was saying to Garrett before about in New York City, we're so cynical about this that you think everybody's on the take or something, and you just don't know. And I don't know. It makes it difficult to give it all because you don't want to be cynical and say that that guy has a house down south or.
Where were we? And
There was a woman in San Francisco. Remember, they followed her back to her $1 million home in Oakland.
Yeah, I do remember that as well, and that makes it so much more difficult for advocates for the actual true homeless to do their job. When people are literally, hey, if I put on the makeup and wear a bunch of rags and panhandle, what can happen? It's really bad.
By the way, John, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did message you on Facebook, but you never reply.
Oh, you know why? Because I only just saw that I got messages on Messenger. I don't have the app on my phone, so I should do that. I have to do it through the web browser
today.
You'd have a better chance contacting Huckabee Sanders and getting a reply than John on Facebook. John's not a Facebook.
Or extraterrestrial life. Yeah,
I need to call Ukraine right away.
All right. Thank you, Billy.
All right. Happy birthday.
Thank you. All right, this article that we're going to go over with Shop Talk is, want to sound smarter? Try saying nothing. New research shows that so-called unfilled pauses during speech can make you sound more intelligent. Hesitating, even for as little as 300 milliseconds, can change how your audience perceives you, and in a surprisingly positive way. A study in the journal Lingua for language has found that speech that contains unfilled pauses, noticeable silences between words that don't have anything to do with punctuation, is judged more articulate and educated than speech without gaps. In short, we may finally have proof of what Ronan Keating told us 2 decades ago. You say it best when you say nothing at all. There is, however, a downside. These same speakers are also thought of as less authoritative and confident. The paper's author suggests that listeners believe unfilled pauses indicate someone is thinking carefully about what they're saying, and as a result, they assume that the person is more intelligent. Conversely, he says, those who think and deliberate may not be regarded as assertive. This is backed up by an earlier work showing that unfilled pauses are seen as less relaxed. So I think actually Tim and I fall into 2 categories.
Well, President Obama was famous for this.
Pausing?
And he used to be very thoughtful what he said. It used to drive me crazy because sometimes you just like spit it out.
Yeah.
But I thought this was about listening versus speaking. Yeah. But this was really about speaking.
Yeah. Previous research has found that speakers with high rates are judged less credible. So I was listening to NPR the other day, and they were interviewing a woman about carbon sequestration, the idea of taking carbon out of the atmosphere, either at the coal plant or something, or just pooling the air or cleaning it. Every time she asked, someone would say to her, so what about, how expensive would it be to do carbon sequestration, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. Every time.
Okay, yeah.
It drove me crazy because instead I would have expected her to say, well, so if the interviewer said, how difficult, how expensive? It can be very expensive to do this post-generation of electrical power. Okay, yeah, it could be really. So I didn't take anything she said very seriously.
Was the reason you couldn't turn the channel? As soon as I heard that topic, click, I'd hit the button.
Well, I didn't want to hear music.
Taking carbon out of the.
It was carbon sequestration, and it's one of these attempts at technology to fight global warming because it can actually pool carbon dioxide.
Where's it go?
They bury it. They literally pipe it down into the ground and they compress it.
I want to ask you about all these black holes I see going on.
They now claim that there's one out by.
But when they say they're sucking stuff in, there's apparently one out there that's sucking stuff in. Where's this stuff going?
I don't know. It's the size of a bowling ball or something. A
bowling ball?
They're tiny, but
I
they're
thought
powerful.
They were huge.
Hey, let's go to Don in Alabama. Don, how you doing?
I'm great. Actually, that black hole is approximately, if you were to put a physical dimension on it, pretty close to the size of the Earth.
A bowling ball, he's telling me.
Yeah, thank you.
And Tim, if you think about it this way, an atom has about as much space between its nucleus and its orbiting particles as our solar system does. So when you put something under that much extraordinary gravity and you press it all the way together, you've got a lot of space that you can compress something to.
Wow.
So, and you eventually tear apart those subatomic particles, and all you have is energy. So a black hole is really just a mass of intense energy.
Where's everything going?
It doesn't. It gets torn apart. It gets shredded. That which is solid gets ripped apart and becomes its subatomic component, its sub-subatomic components. So
yeah,
you're disassembling it.
Don, do you remember that Disney movie called The Black Hole?
Oh, yes, with Maximilian.
Maximilian Schell and that robot. Yeah. And I remember at the very end, they go through the black hole, and it's some kind of religious angels and devils thing.
Yeah.
They make it through to the other side, but that just wouldn't happen.
You do a box set, the black hole and the jawbreaker.
Your atoms get disassembled at the subatomic level, and it would be a rather excruciating process, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
no
the
one could
reason
survive.
But actually, I was calling to see if you noticed the article where the director of NASA said that we have a very intense study next year, or probe launching next year, to find or to analyze the potential for life on Mars. And he's saying that they may not release that information because they don't think that people on Earth would be ready to deal with the consequences of knowing that there is life outside of this planet.
Yeah, I read that. There was an article on CNN about it, and they said they were concerned that if they were going to dig deep into the core, that they're almost certain that there's some form of life.
Yes.
But why would you get upset if there was some little amoeba? I mean, I think you're crazy if you don't think that there's other life out there.
There was a book written in the late 60s I read once called The Jesus Factor, and the underlying premise of it is that what if you discover something that fundamentally destroys the underpinnings of religious ideologies on Earth? And most major religions on this planet are human-centric. And if you do away with that, do you fundamentally undermine religious beliefs?
Adam and Eve with belly buttons.
Yeah.
Don, it's an interesting, and I know the book you're referring to, and often this theme appears in science fiction frequently, a post-point where citizens of Earth have discovered that, there is life out there. What does organized religion do to respond to it? What did they say? But it's usually dealt with like an intelligent species as opposed to microbial proof. But that's an interesting thing that they decided they're going to just bury the results. I mean, I hope they don't. I would like to know.
But if you find microbial life on a planet in the Goldilocks zone in this solar system, and right now we've identified close to 3,000 planets in the Goldilocks zone around other stars, then the probability of life on other worlds goes up a factor of 1 million.
Exponentially.
Yeah. And the possibility of intelligent life goes up equally. And, the point that the book explores is, do they have a God? Is it the same God? Is it a different God? So it gets into some interesting things, but just, the human species having to deal with the fact that we're not it. It's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah, and by the way, for our listeners, and if Tim, do you know what the Goldilocks zone is? You do. What is it?
It's a place where other life can exist, similar to Earth.
Yeah, it's
the way the sun is.
It's a specific orbital
distance. You think I'm a total moron? How about Timmy? Do you know what the Goldilocks zone is? And it was looking at me. What is it?
Now, if Tim said this bed is just right.
That's right.
It's the place where the 3 bears went.
It's the little house where they went.
I know you don't think I know what's going on, Nash.
Hey, Don, thanks for chiming in today. It's great to speak with you, and thank you for your NASA tip.
You have a good show, guys.
Thank you. By the way, Don, on LinkedIn, I got a note that Don he wanted to join your, what is that when you're in
LinkedIn profile?
Yeah. And I was so happy because I here's someone I really want to be linked in with.
Smart people listening.
Yeah, I love it. So I sent him a nice dope
So we'll forget about this article we picked. So it was your birthday.
Well, basically, in summation, pauses mean you're smarter, and you do this all the time when we're with clients. You wait before you answer. Oh, the air blew it out, but thank you. And look, it's a whale for Connecticut.
That's what I picked it for. How come it blew out?
That was the air. There's like a.
I wanted you to blow it. Ow, it hurts. So I got John these tea cakes.
Because they're perfect size, right?
Hurry up now. Make a wish.
I wish.
There you go. All right.
I won the lottery. No.
That's Garrett Slider. So Amtrak, there's these tea cakes. Amtrak was late today, so I didn't have time to get champagne or milk. And I was really upset because usually we celebrate each other's birthdays, and I usually do John as the business birthday. But this year we were 3 days away, so I thought, well, we still have to celebrate. No, I'll try one. But so these were tea cakes from your favorite little place that we have down in Rehoboth. And I know Bob's going to be happy. You don't like gifts. John likes, if you're going to get John anything, you got to get him food.
Yeah, because then I don't have to.
So then it doesn't have to go in the closet. Something doesn't have to get thrown away.
It's
true. So they're probably upside down. But so in Rehoboth, John and Bob have fallen in love with these cookies that we
God.
get. And
I was gonna love you.
So those are the lemon.
These are new. They didn't have those last year.
You had those. You tasted them though at my house,
Yeah,
but
your house.
you liked those. But I didn't want to overdo it.
And the brownie. These are cookies that are filled with brownie batter, and they're all cooked. Bob's gonna totally love you for this. Thank you.
So happy birthday.
Thank you.
Did you do anything special for your birthday? We were traveling.
We traveled. We got home Sunday. We were so tired. We didn't sleep at altitude. We were on. So yesterday, Monday, was actually my birthday, but it was
also Rosh Hashanah, right?
It was overcast.
Shana Tov, everybody.
I was stuck on phone calls. I finally had to get out of the city to meet a contractor yesterday morning to go over something. So I just decided that I was going to celebrate my birthday on Tuesday, my own personal celebration. And boy, was I lucky. I got all the stuff I wanted to get done. The sun came out. I got to do a 30-mile bike ride, and it was like 78-degree weather. So it was a perfect birthday.
Lucky.
It was perfect.
These are good, and I'm not a chocolate fan.
They're very good. They're not too chocolatey. Where'd those come from?
Someplace.
Oh, they came from Fresh Market. Thank you.
Yeah. So you'll have to share those. So anything else, John? We need to cover?
We're all set.
Your birthday. Yep. So thanks everybody for joining us. We appreciate the time you spend with us. Be sure to check out our podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned. And that's every Tuesday. That's released on Tuesday mornings. We're here, of course, live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. East. Thanks to Garrett. Thanks to John. Thanks to Robbie Bobby. And is Luby? Is that the...
Luby was there. And now it's Drew back there.
That was Drew. Gosh, we're moving.
See?
Thanks to our friends at Deep Discount. It's the mystery, suspense, and film noir sale going on. I picked The Rear Window. John picked Moon on 4K. And the release this week is Chernobyl. Remember, everybody, be safe out there. Don't text and drive. Arrive alive.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.